Hi, this video is going to help you write your lab report for your lab on the law of conservation of mass. If you just follow along, follow the instructions, and access the resources that I make available to you in class, then you should be able to write your report no problem. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is open up a word processor or go to Google Docs, like I've got opened up here, and create a new document. All right. You also want to go to your module packet and you want to turn to bullet 2.32 and bullet 2.33. There you'll find some instructions that will be helpful. And these instructions, of course, will go along with some things that are in the video. You also need to find in your module packet this rubric. This particular rubric, there's a title that's on the bottom called Law of Conservation of Mass Lab, and it contains some instructions about what you need to do in your lab report as well. And you need to open up a window in your browser and go to my website and scroll down at S&C 2P Chemistry Animations websites until you get to this point here where it says Law of Conservation of Mass Lab, Mr. Hoyles. All right, and these videos here are basically me doing the experiment, and you can follow along with them to help remind yourself about what you did in the lab as well. Okay, so go to the rubric. It says you're going to need a title. All right. So in Google Docs or in your word processor up here where it says untitled document, you want to type in a title, okay? And something like Law of Mass Lab Report is good enough for that. And then you want to add a similar title or the same title right here where it says title. Obviously, you don't want to put title in your report. You want to put a formal title there that represents the main topic or theme of the lab report. Okay, go back to the rubric. It says research question. All right, so if we check bullet 232, you'll find if you read bullet 232 that the research question is right there. And so you need a heading, research question, that's left justified and underlined, and you want to put the research question there. And our research question is, what will be the final mass of the reaction between vinegar and baking soda? Okay. Then it says hypothesis. We need to write a hypothesis. Now, before you write your hypothesis, you need the heading hypothesis, which I'm going to pull up here. So again, left justified and underlined. And at this point, once you've written that particular heading, what you want to do is go to my website and watch the first video. Again, under the heading Law of Conservation of Mass Lab, Mr. Hoyles, you want to click on that link and it will bring you to this video here. You want to watch that video, pay particular attention to the mass that is recorded in this particular experiment, pay attention to the equipment that's used as well. Okay, shift this back around. All right, so you watch that particular video, and then you want to write a hypothesis here. So based on the mass that you're given in the experiment, you want to predict what the final mass will be once the experiment has been completed. Okay, and you want to provide reasons for that as well. So we go back to the rubric. It says student's hypothesis or prediction can answer the research question. So you want to answer the research question. What will be the final mass of the reaction between vinegar and baking soda? So you want to answer that question with a number and proper units. And then it says student provides reasons for their hypothesis prediction. So you want to go back to your notes on the law of conservation of mass, and you want to tell me why you think the final mass of the vinegar and baking soda will be a certain mass. What does the law of conservation of mass say? So back up what you think your prediction is with the proper scientific theory, again, the law of conservation of mass. Okay? We go back to the rubric. Student uses the proper scientific ideas or theory to explain the reasons for their prediction. So again, if you're drawing on the law of conservation of mass, that particular idea, you're referring to it in your short paragraph for your hypothesis, then you should get a decent mark for that particular expectation. Now the next part is materials and apparatus. All right, so let's pull that up. So materials and apparatus. So there's your heading. You want to repeat that heading in your own lab report, and underneath that heading you want to list everything that was used in the lab. Okay, and so you can, if I'm where I'm supposed to be here, you can watch the, find that equipment in the first lab for sure. Okay, sorry, not in the first lab, in the first video. All right, so we list everything that you used, all the equipment, all the materials, all the chemicals, everything needs to be listed there. Okay, then the next section you want to write in your lab report is the observation section. Okay, and according to this here, observations, students' results are fairly accurate. That is, their data is approximately what they should get based on the lab's purpose. So essentially what that is I'm going to evaluate you partially on how well you did the experiment. Did you get results that you should get? Okay, and the more descriptive and detailed you are in your observations, the more you're able to prove that, yeah, you did actually get the results that you should get in the experiment. Now, more importantly, detailed data is collected. So in the observation section, right here, you want to record everything that you saw, everything that you heard, everything that you smelled. Record the mass observations before the chemical reaction is done and after the chemical reaction is done. You want to report those mass, not calculations, but mass recordings in the observation section too, along with any other sensory data that you collected while you did the experiment. All right. So go back to the rubric. Then you need to do conclusions. So in the conclusion, the student uses their observations and data to support their conclusions. The conclusion answers the research question. Again, our research question is, if we go back up to the top, what will be the final mass of the reaction between vinegar and baking soda? So you want to answer that research question, okay, in the conclusion. So tell me, what was the final mass of the materials, the chemicals that were participating in the chemical reaction when the chemical reaction was finally done? You want to report that here, okay? And then it says, student uses their observations and data to support their conclusions. Okay, so anything that you can use from your observations to beef up your answer to the question, that's what you want to write in your conclusion. But essentially what you're doing is answering this research question right here. What will be the final mass of the reaction between vinegar and baking soda? Okay, and then maybe we're talking about the law of conservation of mass and how that, how your data kind of confirms your hypothesis. What did you predict? Was the actual mass observations that you got here, did that confirm what you predicted was going to happen? So that's something you can discuss in the conclusion as well. Then the last section is questions. Student accurately answers assigned questions. All right, so you need one other section to your report. Come up here, and that's questions. And the question you have to answer is, what signs of chemical change did you see in the lab experiment? So just answer that question right under there. Put your answers to that. What did you see that indicated that the combination of vinegar and baking soda was actually a chemical reaction? And you can refer to your notes on chemical change to help identify some of those signs or indicators of chemical change. All right. So when you're done, your lab report will have the same headings as what I have here, except they'll be filled. Information will be filled underneath each of those headings. Make sure you're checking this rubric that I've been referring to as you write your lab report, and obviously, feel free to pause the video and check things that you need to check. You can again always go back to bullet 232 and 233 There may be some helpful information for you there as well. All right. And you should probably watch the second video. Here, you're going to click on the second video, and that's going to help you, do your observations. And some information will probably be helpful for your conclusion as well. And certainly things that you see in the video can help you remember some signs of chemical change that you saw in the experiment, and that can help you answer that last question. Okay, so make sure you watch this second video as well, because it shows me doing the experiment, recording the final mass, and giving some extra information that can help you fill in observations, conclusion, and questions. So make sure you do that as well. Okay, so hopefully you got everything that you need, and well, I'm looking forward to getting your report. Okay, take care.